March 15th, 44 BC, the Ides of March. Rome's Senate gathers in the Theater of Pompey, a building that once echoed with political maneuvering and ambition. History remembers it as the day Julius Caesar, Rome's most dominant figure, fell to the daggers of those he called allies. But imagine a different outcome. The knives miss. Caesar steps back, bruised, bloodied, yet alive. In that heartbeat, the conspirators, Brutus, Cassius, and dozens of senators, freeze, their carefully orchestrated plan collapsing before their eyes. One moment had been designed to end a life. Now it altered the course of an entire civilization. Caesar's survival is not merely a personal victory. It sends a shockwave through the political, military, and social fabric of Rome. The civil wars that reshaped the Republic and birthed the empire might never occur. Imagine the ripple effects. Augustus never rises. The Roman Empire could take a radically different shape, and centuries of history pivot on a single moment of chance. By the end of this video, you'll witness a Rome that never existed, a world molded by the survival of a man who refused to die. Stay with us, because what happens next will defy expectations, revealing the fragile yet powerful threads of fate. The divergence begins with the subtlest of variations, a slip of the hand, a misjudged angle, or a brief hesitation. Caesar sidesteps the first dagger, feels a sharp sting across his shoulder, but the lethal blow never lands. In that moment, time slows. Brutus freezes, Cassius falters, and the Senate erupts in chaos. The conspirators' plan, honed over months of plotting, crumbles within seconds. Caesar, fully aware of the stakes, does not act rashly. He retreats strategically, assessing the room, calculating the loyalties, weaknesses, and fears of every senator. He understands something crucial. Survival grants power beyond mere political authority. It grants him leverage over those who sought to end him. Rome itself seems to hold its breath. Citizens in the streets hear rumors of the failed assassination, whispers that a man has cheated death. The implications are immediate. The city is both terrified and fascinated. The balance of fear and awe becomes Caesar's most potent tool, and he wields it deliberately, knowing that every glance, gesture, and command is now infused with authority and legend. The conspirators retreat, shocked and uncertain. Brutus, torn between philosophical ideals and human loyalty, contemplates flight. Cassius, the mastermind, grapples with the harsh realization that their moment of triumph has dissolved into panic. Their failure signals the beginning of a new Rome, one in which survival, cunning, and decisiveness dictate power. Caesar's survival sends shockwaves through the Republic. Citizens flood the forum, drawn by whispers of a man who defied death. Rome, usually a city of bustling commerce and politics, becomes a theater of awe and apprehension. The streets echo with gossip, speculation, and admiration. The plebeians, ordinary citizens, see him as a living embodiment of destiny, a protector who survived betrayal. The Senate, meanwhile, is paralyzed by fear. Those who conspired against Caesar are swiftly punished, either exiled, executed, or publicly humiliated. Senators who had remained neutral suddenly find themselves on uncertain ground. Aligning with Caesar becomes a survival tactic, not merely a political choice. Mark Antony steps into a complex role. As a loyal supporter, he must manage both Caesar's image and the military. Every word he utters, every decision he makes, must balance loyalty, pragmatism, and the knowledge that Rome teeters on the edge of chaos. Meanwhile, Brutus and Cassius retreat into secrecy, plotting quietly, aware that any miscalculation could cost them their lives. The impact on daily life is profound. Public speeches and games are staged with unprecedented grandeur, designed to celebrate Caesar's survival and reinforce his authority. Citizens witness history firsthand, understanding that allegiance and survival are intertwined. Markets flourish under political stability, yet an undercurrent of fear runs through the populace. A casual remark, a glance, or a choice of words could determine life or death. Rome's social hierarchy also shifts. Plebeians are emboldened by Caesar's near-miraculous endurance, perceiving a protector who values their support. Patricians, in contrast, are acutely aware of the precarious balance of power. Alliances form quickly, marriages and business deals are recalculated, and the entire elite class adapts to a reality where a single leader dominates politics, military, and social influence. Caesar's survival profoundly alters Rome's military trajectory. Historically, his death sparked civil war, paving the way for Augustus's rise. In this timeline, Caesar commands the legions without distraction, focusing on stability and territorial expansion rather than defending his legacy against fellow Romans. Gaul, historically a region of extended conquest, remains firmly under his control. Caesar's leadership ensures that local revolts are quashed efficiently, and provinces are integrated with both political authority and economic infrastructure. This creates a Rome more centralized and more cohesive than in actual history. Potential rival generals are forced into caution. Pompey's heirs, ambitious yet restrained, understand that Caesar is no longer just a military genius, but a figure who has survived betrayal and now wields absolute power. Every decision becomes a strategic calculation. Challenge him and face ruin, support him and gain favor. The Mediterranean becomes a chessboard of naval and territorial strategy. Fleets are maneuvered under Caesar's direct supervision, fortifying trade routes, suppressing piracy, and establishing dominance over neighboring powers. Loyalty within the army is absolute. Soldiers understand that survival, personal honor, and promotion are all tied to Caesar's favor. The survival of one man has transformed the very nature of Rome's military structure. The assassination attempt leaves an indelible mark on Caesar's political vision. Historically, he enacted reforms to stabilize Rome, redistribute land, and support veterans. In this timeline, the near-death experience accelerates these policies and gives him the courage to consolidate power more decisively. The Senate is reorganized, filled with loyalists, while dissenters are marginalized or removed. Laws pass with speed, and enforcement is strict. Public works, roads, aqueducts, forums, and monumental architecture proliferate, projecting power and creating tangible reminders of Caesar's dominance and near-miraculous survival. Cultural transformation accompanies political change. Writers, poets, and artists are commissioned to memorialize Caesar's survival. The Ides of March becomes a symbol not of tragedy, but of endurance and destiny. Stories circulate widely, shaping Roman identity for generations. Citizens participate in public ceremonies celebrating survival, reinforcing loyalty through awe and admiration. Daily life in Rome shifts. Markets prosper under centralized governance. Yet fear permeates social interactions. Loyalty is expected and calculated, blending voluntary allegiance with the implicit understanding of consequence. Citizens, soldiers, and senators navigate a world defined by ambition, survival, and Caesar's extraordinary influence. Rome's political culture evolves into a mix of awe, obedience, and strategic calculation. Every action, every decision, every word is filtered through the lens of Caesar's survival. Life in Rome becomes both more secure and more intense, as citizens recognize that one man's fortune dictates the fate of the entire republic. If you're captivated by how a single moment can alter history, hit the like button and subscribe. Turn on the notification bell so you won't miss the next part of this journey, where Caesar's survival reshapes foreign policy, empire building, and the very future of the Roman world. With Caesar alive, Rome's foreign policy takes a more assertive and centralized turn. Historically, after Caesar's assassination, foreign relations were marked by chaos, civil wars, and inconsistent diplomacy. In this alternate timeline, Caesar, aware of betrayal at home, moves swiftly to secure Rome's borders and assert dominance over both allies and adversaries. Egypt, a key player in Mediterranean politics, becomes a focal point. Cleopatra, historically an ally of Caesar, strengthens her ties not just through romance, but through calculated diplomacy. Caesar's survival allows him to formalize alliances, cementing Egypt as a strategic partner rather than a regional pawn. This shifts the balance of power in the Eastern Mediterranean. Rome's influence stretches further into territories that might have remained independent or contested in the original timeline. Beyond Egypt, Caesar engages Gaul and Hispania differently. Instead of intermittent campaigns interrupted by civil war, Caesar implements sustained governance and integration. Provinces are granted structured representation, economic incentives, and military oversight that ensure loyalty. Revolts are crushed with precision, but unlike historical campaigns of sheer brutality, Caesar emphasizes infrastructure and civic organization, blending force with strategy. Rome's northern neighbors, Germanic tribes and other Celtic factions, observe a Rome unified under a seemingly invincible leader. Caesar's survival acts as both a deterrent and a symbol of inevitability. Tribal coalitions that might have resisted Roman expansion begin to negotiate, offering tribute or seeking peaceful integration rather than engaging in destructive warfare. The ripple effect is clear. Rome expands its influence more efficiently and with fewer devastating battles, altering the map of Europe centuries earlier. Caesar's near-death experience fuels a radical shift in how he envisions Rome's future. Historically, he was a reformer, but survival intensifies his ambition. The Republic begins to transition into an empire under his guidance, but differently from the rise of Augustus. Rather than allowing a power vacuum, Caesar consolidates authority personally, creating centralized structures and succession plans that prevent civil war. One of the most dramatic consequences is the prevention of the traditional power struggles that historically followed his death. The rise of Augustus, historically Rome's first emperor, becomes unnecessary. Caesar's lifetime leadership allows for a planned, almost deliberate transformation of Rome's political framework. Senators become administrators rather than rivals. The military answers directly to him, but with structured oversight that balances loyalty with civic responsibility. Caesar also accelerates reforms to land distribution, veteran settlements, and taxation systems. By stabilizing social hierarchies while rewarding merit, he strengthens both Rome's economy and its citizen loyalty. Public works projects multiply, creating a physical manifestation of Caesar's survival and vision. Roads, aqueducts, forums, and temples are built at unprecedented speed, embedding his legacy into the very fabric of the city. This structured approach also extends to succession planning. Caesar, knowing betrayal nearly ended his life, implements mechanisms to ensure continuity. Carefully chosen heirs, loyal generals in key positions, and legal frameworks that define the future of governance. Rome evolves into a highly organized empire, with less internal conflict and a smoother transition of power compared to historical precedent. Culturally, Caesar's survival creates a new era of Roman identity. Citizens view the state as both stable and extraordinary, guided by a leader who cheated death. The Ides of March transforms from a symbol of tragedy to one of destiny and resilience. Festivals, art, and literature glorify survival, influencing generations and embedding the concept of leadership as inseparable from fate itself. The long-term global impact of Caesar surviving is staggering. Europe, Africa, and the Middle East experience different trajectories of conquest, trade, and cultural exchange. With a stable Rome, military campaigns shift from reactive civil wars to proactive territorial expansion. Rome's borders solidify earlier, and its influence reaches further, faster, and more efficiently. One immediate consequence is the altered fate of the Mediterranean. Stronger central leadership allows Rome to dominate trade routes without interruption, influencing economic networks across North Africa, the Levant, and southern Europe. Cultural exchange accelerates as infrastructure improves, fostering an interconnected Mediterranean world decades earlier than in real history. The ripple effect reaches the future of Christianity and other emerging philosophies. A more centralized, enduring Roman Empire could suppress or adapt new religious movements differently. Caesar's approach to governance, combining pragmatism with spectacle, might delay or transform the rise of Christianity, reshaping spiritual and cultural history. Meanwhile, in Northern Europe, stronger Roman authority affects tribal societies' evolution. Integration, trade, and governance under Rome prevent some of the fragmentation that historically led to prolonged conflicts. Languages, legal systems, and urban centers develop differently, creating a Europe that may be more unified, or at least more interconnected, centuries earlier. Beyond Europe, Rome's enhanced Mediterranean control influences Africa and Asia. Trade with Indian Ocean civilizations intensifies under a unified Roman strategy. The Silk Road, historically shaped by fragmented powers, becomes more accessible and secure, fostering early globalization. Caesar's survival, therefore, doesn't just change Rome, it rewrites the economic, cultural, and political foundations of the known world. The survival of Julius Caesar is more than an alternate history, what if? It is a lens through which we can examine the fragility and contingency of historical events. A single moment, a misstep, a hesitation, a sidestep, reverberates across centuries, changing the fate of nations, empires, and cultures. Rome, under Caesar's prolonged leadership, transforms into a centralized, efficient, and culturally vibrant empire. Civil wars that defined the early imperial era vanish, political reforms are accelerated, provincial integration is more effective, and global trade networks develop faster. Caesar's personal survival elevates him to near mythical status, not just as a leader, but as a symbol of destiny and human ambition. But this timeline also provokes a profound question. How much of history hinges on human choice versus sheer chance? Could Rome have avoided centuries of bloodshed if one man had lived? Would the world have experienced earlier globalization, stronger political stability, or even different religious and cultural developments? If this alternate history fascinates you, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. We'll continue exploring mind-bending what-if scenarios from history, showing how tiny divergences could rewrite entire civilizations. History is never set in stone. A sidestep on the Ides of March could have created a Rome unlike anything we've ever imagined, and a world that might have been profoundly different. Julius Caesar survived, and with him, an alternate reality unfolds. A reality where destiny, leadership, and human choice converge in astonishing ways.